All right, hello ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? Welcome to Comic Book Radio. Thank you guys for being so patient. I feel like I need to just throw this computer as far as I can. Technology. I have to do a factory reset or something on this computer soon. This thing's driving me nuts. Anyway, it's not your fault, it's mine. And I am Peter Cimetti, your host tonight. This is episode 206. I've got Andy Smith and Dennis Turner on the show tonight. We're going to be talking about their book Kordrath, but I also want to dive deeper into that subject matter. Building a Barbarian. Build a Barbarian, not like Build-A-Bear. Build a Barbarian. That would be a fun store. If it's not, in the works. Anyway. Enough of me amusing myself at your expense. Let me say hello to you guys in the chat. We got Ben here. What's up, Ben? Hope you're doing good. We got Dr. Mask in the house as well. What's up, Doc? Wayne is here too. How's it going, Wayne? Hope you're doing well. We are joined by Fox Mulder tonight. I knew I'd be getting someone tailing me after Monday's show. That's for sure. Hello, Fox. We got Marcus Kellegrew here. What's up, Marcus? Hope you're doing good. Colt King in the house says, oh no, who decided to let these two troublemakers on? Andy and Dennis. This is Dennis's second time, Andy's third time on the show. And I know it's going to be a good one because the other two were so good. We got Frederick on here. What's up, Frederick? Says, loving the art on the thumbnail tonight. Yeah, that's good stuff by Andy. And I believe Dan Lawless coloring Andy's work. Spicer McLeroy says, what's going on, Warriors? Have a great show tonight, Brother Pete. Love me some Barbarian-themed comics. And I'm going to be talking to Spicer tomorrow. He'll be back on the show. So that should be a good show as well. What's up, Spicer? MD Houghton in the house as well. What's up, MD? Golden Tree is here as well. How's it going, Madison? Comics for Life is here too. What's up, Comics for Life? Jefferson Roswell in the house. What's up, Jefferson? MD says, I'm having PC problems too. Laptop only got used once. Now it's effed up. Technology. And they want us to interface with that. Give me a break. Goody Two Shoes. How's it going, Goody Two Shoes? What's up? All right, before I bring on Andy and Dennis, one quick announcement. Alterna t-shirts, Alterna art shirts as we like to call them. And also we've got these beautiful towels. They're some of the best looking towels I've ever seen. I don't have one to show you guys right now. It's in the other room. But the print is amazing. It's so soft, especially after I washed it once. Just wash it once and then use it. It's amazing. It got softer after the wash. And it's this premium towel. Beautiful thing. Those are both available to pre-order now on the Alterna site. I'll go to alternacomics.com/pre-order. We got 9 shirts, 9 different designs with a lot of different Alterna characters and titles involved. Same thing with the towels. We got 10 towels, though. And those are amazing. Those are for the summer. They'll be shipping out in July. Nice, quick pre-order. May 31st is the last day to order. You cannot order these June 1st. We're taking them down, and that's it. Those designs will never be repeated and used again for shirts and towels. So if you guys are looking for something, check it out. All right. Oh, and thank you, Doc. Appreciate that, man. All right. So without further ado, let's bring them on. Give a big Comic Book Radio welcome. They've been on here before, and they are now on here again. Andy Smith and Dennis Turner. What's up, guys?
Hello. Dennis, did you not get the email about how you're supposed to dress appropriately for the show? Hat,
yeah, I did.
Sunglasses.
I got no sleeves on.
No. Sunglasses and a cap. Come on, man.
Wow.
2 of us fit in. 1 of us does not.
He's the cool one now, though.
That's right. I don't fit in. I don't go with the man. I am my own self.
Yeah. I respect the host of the show, unlike you.
Yeah, there's no winning.
Well, I appreciate that, Andy. I appreciate that. Are yours
Well.
prescription like mine are? Are they?
No, they're not. They're just something
No.
sitting next to my desk.
Yeah, mine need to be prescription because these are my normal glasses. Because them bad boys is thick. Because I'd be
Whoa!
blind as a bat.
You
And this
didn't
is
wanna-
as
you
thin
didn't-
as they get. This is as thin
I
as
was
they
gonna
get.
say you didn't want to.
This
I
is-
can't do sunglasses at night.
This is top
Sorry.
of the line.
But wait. Are you telling
Thin
me
as they
that
get.
you even splurged for the make them as thin as you can, and that's as thin as they could
That's
do
as thin as they're gonna do it.
Oh,
Well,
crap.
now we understand why Coca-Cola
High index, whatever the hell that is. You know.
Wow.
stopped making their bottles. Now I understand why they went to plastic instead of glass. Peter, they were using all the glass.
Oh my lord, glass? Forget it, man. Glass ones, they'd be double the size. They'd be so heavy, it'd be a strain on my nose if it were glass. These are like high
Good
index,
Lord.
whatever the hell that is.
Wow.
Yeah. And I gotta wear the sunglasses because if I don't, I get headaches. You know, it's not as cool as it
I
looks. Anyway, how are you guys doing?
Doing good.
We're
Doing
doing
good.
awesome. Especially on Wednesday. We get to do this twice in a day. Gotta love it.
Yeah, you guys got a
Dennis is so
jam-packed
excited
day.
to see me for a second time. I wish I could say the same.
Well, if it wasn't for Peter, I would have said no. But, I figured why not? I've had enough
I
of Andy.
appreciate that, Dennis. I
You
appreciate that. How close do you guys live?
25 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
half hour.
He's got to just
Half
one
hour
up
the way
you there.
he drives, about
5 more
20 the way
minutes.
I drive. So,
Very nice. Well, I'm really, really excited to have you guys on here tonight. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again. It's great to see that you've got this campaign doing great. We're going to touch upon that towards the end of the show.
Sure.
How has this been going for you after doing the first one?
oh, it's going good. It's going real good. From a creative standpoint, it's a lot smoother because I'm used to drawing these guys now. So that definitely helps out. Not having to constantly look back and forth at like my character sheet that I drew, going, "How's that look again? What?" There are some new characters in it I have to do that with, but the main core cast I can pretty much just go with now. So,
What was the reviews like from the fans out there, from the readers?
the first one, great. Really, really nice. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm sure Dennis was, for it being his first go around at this type of writing.
Yeah, I was tickled pink, honestly. I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous. I'm like, man, when you pour your heart and soul into something, and maybe they're gonna think it's Disney Star Wars level of crap. And I was like, oh, but then, man, it started coming in one after another, and I told especially a number of people, I said, just be blunt with me, don't sugarcoat anything. And they're like, dude, there's some great stuff in here, and they were thrilled. So it's been very positive. So couldn't wait to do number 2.
That's
Yeah.
great, man. That's great. Now, I know you guys talked about this before, but for anybody who's discovering you guys for the first time tonight or on the replay, what was the inspiration for the character?
I wanted to do, after, First Man Volume 2, I wanted to do something else. So, Dennis and I were on a road trip to a con, and I brought that up to him, and I basically said I want to go back into like the fantasy type world of things, because I did a Red Sonja miniseries in around 2010 or so, but I said I didn't want to just do a typical Conan type character. I wanted to have some, something unique about it, something different, and I think that's where Dennis's expertise in the role-playing game world, came into it with what he was able to bring to it.
Dennis, what would you say are some of the biggest differences between this and what people would normally think about with the Barbarian or a Barbarian book?
Well, if you're going to just talk barbarians, what's going to come to mind? It's going to be Conan. That'll be literally the first thing that jumps to everybody's mind. Now, that world is fleshed out, and it's it's very straightforward in the Conan world. And we don't want just a Conan wannabe. As we talked about it, I was like, look, if we're going to bring all this different aspects of high fantasy together, magic, it's got to be fleshed out. The world, you'll notice on the very first page of the very first book, there's a world with two moons on it and how everything sets in there. You're not on Earth. You're not just in the future or in the past. There's something completely different. So you fill them in. And it's great because for me, it's all about world building. And this holds true in anything that I write, anything that I role play in. It's not just here's something that's two dimensional. It's all about building of the world. So, we had to make something completely different, but yet somewhat familiar because you expect barbarians to do certain things. And with this particular set of books, we're dealing with the barbarian aspect of the world. Now, there's a lot more in the world outside of it, different races, different classes, different everything that's out there, the way magic works. There's different ways to do it, pirates, all that stuff. But for this, we're just focusing on some barbarian badassery.
Now, how are you avoiding the pitfalls of doing too much world building and not enough story and plot building? Or character building, because sometimes I've seen that happen where people spend so much time world building and doing this big setup and this huge, and then there's like you're done with it and you go, well, that was cool, but I don't know what the hell the story was or what those characters were like.
Well, you want to build the story, but in the world building part of it, this is where the collaboration between Andy and I come in. We literally talk every day, and we go over and we pitch things back and forth. When I write out the story, the dialogue, I've got visions in my head. The dialogue itself has to move the story forward, but you also got to build some of the world building into it. But you also then got to bring that visually, because a lot of the world building is also going to be in the visual aspects, and that's where Andy comes in. And as we talk about it, for example, the two barbarian tribes are completely different. Cordreths is a very nomadic tribe, and you'll see they wear loincloths and they have basic stuff, and that's what Andy came up with. Now, Adriana's tribe, the Black Eagles, they're a little more stationary. They're also a little more advanced in some areas. Her outfit doesn't look what you would consider to be normal for a true barbarian tribe. So it's all part of the world, but you got to build it not only through dialogue, but in all the aspects of all the different images that's being portrayed on the picture.
Yeah, and I also think that, when people hear world building, kind of like you said, Pete, they might automatically think like, oh my God, it's all this stuff just thrown at me at once. And, it's more along the lines that it's parsed out as you move along.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a continual process. So in the first book, we kind of have, we had a set goal or whatever of how much to reveal and show in that first volume, first episode. So in the next one, you peel the onion back a little bit more to reveal a little bit more of the world and stuff. So it's always a continuing process with the world building. And then, like Dennis said too, it's you have to marry it together with the writing and the art. So sometimes you get the world building just through the art. It's not literally something you're reading, and then sometimes it is text that you're actually reading. So it is a nice collaboration of putting those two together just right. And one of the nice compliments from the first book that people gave was that it was my part of the book was 75 pages a story, and then Bud Root did 4, and we had this other page in there. So in the 75 pages, which is a lot, it was still you know, each page was still really packed with a lot of stuff. It wasn't like 75 pages where it was like, oh, 2 to 3 panels or 4 panels a page. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there are a couple pages like that, but a lot of them,
Yeah,
you
well, you
know,
need to
have,
open up the
yeah,
composition and the viewpoint and everything.
right. You know, you got to know when to open it up and pull back and expand and stuff. But then there are some pages that have 9 panels and stuff like that. And some of them are, you know, kind of talking type pages. But then there's some that are, you know, 7 or 8 that are action pages with quick cuts of how I was composing the action and stuff. You know, it's not like it's 8 panels, full figures in every one and stuff, because I like to cut in kind of like a movie does with close-ups and things like that with
Oh
the
yeah,
action
yeah,
moving along too. So,
yeah.
I
You
mean,
gotta mix up the camera angle.
oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
and
yeah,
one of the big things you could tell when on the first page, this was one of our biggest debates, is to how do you open a book? You know, the Marvel ways, you have this splash page and you've got something up there. You might have a little bit of dialogue, but it's just the splash page, and that's what you bring it into. It's kind of hard to do that with a book when you're trying to. You've got to get people interested in this world that you're just dropping, because it's not just a Marvel book or a DC book. You're not dropping it into New York City or anywhere on Earth. So, you know, that was the big debate that we had was going in is, look, and what we decided on was you got to have all that scrolling in there, but it was a bit of history on the world to bring everybody up to speed, so that at least they understood a little of the history that funneled them down into the current moment. And that was the biggest thing that we were really debating on. And, you know, because it's not the Marvel way of doing comics.
Like the
And
use of exposition and things like that, like
yeah.
narrative
It's
structure and.
yeah. I mean, what I guess the way I kind of looked at it, because we did go back and forth with it, and the way I kind of look at it is like Star Wars. You know, when you very first Star Wars movie, it opens up with that text going off into the distance that you have to read, you know, and but it works so well because you realize after reading it, yeah, it didn't really need to be what 20 minutes to a half hour of actual footage to go through watching. It's better just, you know what, read this, get up to speed of where this story is going to start, boom, and then dive in. You know, with core draft, turn to pages 2 and 3, and you're right there in the action. And yeah, I mean, I give it up to him because I was the more skeptical one about doing that first page that way, and he was like, trust me. I'm like, all right, and you know, it worked out real well. A few of the comments we got from people, they really enjoyed that. They thought it was great because, like Dennis said, you just read through it, you get that exposition, so boom, turn the page, and you just dive right into the heart of the story and stuff and start moving along.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot over the years, too much emphasis on show, don't tell, and people are forgetting to tell that story in the process. You know, they think
Right.
like, oh, well, you got to show everything, so it's turned into a very art-heavy kind of experience with writing sometimes taking a back seat, and there's almost none of it there. And I don't know if it's because over the years, writing on a literary level in comics has kind of nosedived. At least in my experience, when I've seen a lot of comics come out there over the course of 20 or so the past years, I don't think they could hold a candle
you know,
to
honestly,
writers from the past.
You look at some of the stuff that comes out now, and I'll read a couple of pages of a current book or something. And this is why I'm at the shop. I mean, because Dennis and I go every Wednesday to our local comic shops. I pretty much flip through a bunch of stuff, and I'll just look at a couple of pages and be like, this is just, why was this even drawn? This could have just been exposition, and you could have given me something more exciting to look at story-wise, visually, because comics is a visual medium. I don't want to flip through a action adventure book, whether it's fantasy based like core draft or superhero or whatever, and have 2 or 3 pages of just really boring stuff. And I'm not saying I'm not just talking like talking head stuff. Like I said, there's pages in our book that have just characters talking, but that can also be drawn in an interesting way, and that's the artist's job. It's not just, oh, look, it's a 6-panel grid with, the same head and the mouth just moves or something.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, I think, you look back at some of the best stories, and it is stuff like, Watchmen and, Dark Knight and, Killing Joke, things like that. And there is kind of this balance that is being lost. When I was growing up in the 80s reading comics, Marvel stuff, DC stuff in the 80s, late 70s and stuff, it really it had a nice balance. The writers knew what they were doing because they knew that they were writing comic books. And I think a problem these days is you get these writers that are hired, and it's not that they're bad writers, it's that they're bad writers for comics, because there's a specific language when you're writing comics. It's not a short story format, it's not a novel format, it's comic books, and you have to understand that language.
That's a good
funny
point.
thing is, a couple of people, their comment was, and I took it as a compliment. They were like, it's a very dense comic book. You've got a lot of stuff packed into it. It's not a quick read. They're like, it's kind of like Chris Claremont on the X-Men stuff. And for me, that is my favorite, where you got Chris Claremont and either Cochran or John Byrne, drawing that stuff. It's just it's some of my favorite stuff. And that's why I like the X-Men so much, is because they weren't just empty panels with lots of fighting, or it wasn't just useless talking. They had their moments, but all in all, it's a dense, rich story that he was able to create, and they filled it in great with all of the art. And I took that as a compliment, because there's a lot of story to tell, and it's got to be complemented with the art. So we were trying to accomplish that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to get to some people here in the chat. We got Son of Liberty Radio. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, supporting the channel. Appreciate it. It says, definitely not Disney Star Wars crap. Maybe Hawk the Slayer level in a good way. Beastmaster maybe, or Krull. So there you go.
I like Beastmaster as a kid. That was
yeah.
I had this. How you have a memory from when you were younger, and it's not that it's totally wrong. It's like that Berenstain Bears thing where, people think it was
with the E, not the A.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for some reason, I always think like Beastmaster, there was a ton of them, but I think in reality, there really wasn't a lot of them. Maybe I was just seeing the same one on TV
there was 3 of them, wasn't there? I thought there was at least 3.
At least 3. I don't remember.
That's probably right, but I'm talking like...
You thought they were like
my
7?
mind almost remembers it like a episodic show, and I know there wasn't that many, but I think there was probably at least I know 2 for sure, but maybe 3. But
was there an episodic show?
I don't think so.
I can't remember if there was.
But I always liked that show. I thought it was
there was.
There was an episodic show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know, because Mark Singer was
right then.
In the movies, and that first one I thought was great.
Wait, Mark Singer wasn't in the episodic stuff then? It was somebody else? Really?
Nope.
I don't remember that.
I remember watching it, and I was like, well, I remember Mark Singer from the movie, so I just looked it up. I had to look it up because it was killing me. 1999 to 2002, Daniel Goddard.
Oh yeah, no. This, like I said, that's the episodic thing. Yeah, I never saw that. If it was 99, never even knew about it. I only remember the stuff with Mark Singer. That's the only stuff I remember.
That sounds like something being put out to kind of catch the fire of Hercules and Xena and whatnot.
Yeah,
99.
And it looks like there were just the 3 movies, which is good. At least that we're tied in with it, because the first Beastmaster was great, with back when Tanya Roberts was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she still with us, or is she dead?
No, she passed away. Yeah, a few years ago.
We got
Brian saying, Dennis, I liked your writing. I really appreciate that the good guys were likable and like each other.
Thank you.
Yeah. MD Houghton, I think this is a joke. Says, are there any extended scenes of characters sleeping in your book? I love that kind of thing.
Not yet. Maybe in book 2, we'll do a 10-page sequence of Kordrath rolling around in his sleep.
At first, I almost thought, and I
no,
think my mind was plugging it in, I almost thought that he said any extended scenes of characters sleeping with each other in your book.
Right.
I love that kind of thing.
That could be done.
Fearsome Bullet says, Pete, get that cryptid talk going. There should be plenty of them in the Kordrath world. Are there plenty of cryptids in the Kordrath world? There's got to be creatures at the very least.
Oh,
there is in book 2, yeah. I mean, there is, yeah, I guess in book 1, yeah.
Well,
but
the Dark
Worm
definitely
has, yeah, that's right, the Dark Worm, yeah. Book 2 has a couple new ones, a couple new creatures in it and stuff.
When it comes to the creatures and whatnot, and honestly anything in the book as far as the characters and the world goes, are you getting a really thorough script and lots of detail from Dennis, Andy, or are you coming up with a lot of this stuff and then going back and forth with Dennis? What's that like?
No, when it comes to like the monster stuff, we would just talk and I'd be like, well, what are you thinking? And we would almost kind of put together, or he would kind of put together what character designers will do, which is, I can't remember the exact word for it, so I'm just going to go with like a vision board, which is kind of like, you just pull aspects of things. You're like, I like that, I kind of like that, I kind of like that, and then we talk and kind of go over, and I'd ask, well, what's he do? What's the, I get what you're telling me you want him to look like, but what's he actually do? And then I made up 2 creatures. And then the one thing I did that I don't think we talked about was, after I did the initial sketch, I scanned them in, and then I took that main Kordrath figure, like character drawing I did that was on the first campaign, and I scaled them down next to the creature, and I sent it to Dennis and said, I think the creature should be this big compared to like Kordrath, and he was like, oh yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that's a good size difference. So,
yeah, so I come up with like the creature's abilities, what they're able to do. I put it in comic terms, and I also build game stats for them so that it's a complete package. And then I give Andy, like he said, ideas of what I think this creature, because a lot of these are not normal. I mean, your trolls, your goblins, they're all kind of basic, but that's not what we're going with in here. A couple of the new ones we're doing, they're completely new design from the ground up, and that's exactly right. I gave that to Andy. We talked for a little bit. He came up with them, and honestly, he nailed them on the first try. He got them. He goes, "This is what I picture. This is what I think." And I was like, "Dude, that's perfect. That's right one line. It's like unagi."
Andy, what's that like visualizing those characters? What starts to come to you first?
After we talk about it, I mean, I always try to think of specific shape or silhouette for it. A good silhouette when it comes to doing character design. And this technically, I always say this applies to humans as well, but that really depends on your style. I mean, a good silhouette when it comes to animation characters works great because you can really play with the shapes because it's so cartoony. I can try and do that with people, but when it comes to the creatures, I try to think of a silhouette first. So I might just sketch out like an outline that pops into my head and then try to fit it inside of that and go from there. With one of the creatures, I know I sketched out something, and it was a Wednesday when he was coming over so we could do the show. And I said, this is what I'm thinking for this guy. What do you think? And I'm trying to remember. I know he liked it, and he did have a couple ideas. And for me, I find it best to talk things out and like just basically go back and forth. I think Dennis could even attest to this. I'll start talking, and because I'm actually verbalizing it, more stuff will pop into my head. So then I'll just go, oh yeah, or this. And next thing you know, he hasn't said anything, and I've kind of worked it out. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. Just do that. And it's true though, and it's funny because when I'm working by myself at home, I need to kind of remember that because I'm working alone, I'm listening to a podcast, and if I get stuck on something, instead of just sitting there and it rolling around in my head, I need to just like almost talk to myself and almost just verbalize it like that. Because for me at least, it just hearing it gets the
Yeah.
gears going more, creatively. So
Oh, absolutely. I hear you, man. I hear you. And if anyone thinks you're nuts, nuts to them.
nobody's here to hear me. So, well, except for my Amazon device that records everything. So,
Oh, well, that can't be helped.
yeah, exactly. Big brother, eye in the sky. And I know Dennis has planted a microphone and camera somewhere in here that I don't know about. He's spying on me.
More than
I
likely.
I can sense it.
It's more of the Big Brother stuff. I feel it.
Exactly.
Let's see. Comics for Life says the art gives me Perez Grell vibes. Are they influential in your art style?
Yeah, both of them. I'd say I love George's stuff growing up, for various reasons. I liked how much stuff he could put on a page, and he's one of the guys that could do that, and I could still find it readable. The 8 panels, 9 panels, 12 that George would do, and I almost put a background in every one, but he still had a page flow to it, and it was still readable, even though he was the guy that liked to draw everything. And then with Grell, I like Grell's Warlord. I actually discovered Grell on Green Lantern first, and then through that backtracking like Warlord and stuff. Or actually, wait, nope, I take it back. He did Green Lantern before Warlord, but they were both out when I discovered it. So,
Oh, okay.
and then I discovered, and this was when I was a professional, probably about 20 years ago, Grell did a stint on the Tarzan newspaper strip. And it's either 3 or 4 volumes that Blackthorn reprinted of periods of the Tarzan newspaper strips. So like the first one is Bern Hogarth, and then it's, I think, Russ Manning. And then one of the books is actually Gil Kane, also had a stint on the Tarzan strip. And so did Grell, but both of their stints weren't that long, and they were able to fit both of them into one book. And it's just, I always loved Grell's rendering style, the way, the line work was. And I thought in Warlord, the design stuff he did in Warlord, I thought was really cool as well. Just the concept on its own, I thought Warlord was cool.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. MD's got a follow-up. I know he's pointing out this question specifically for Andy, but I'm going to open this up to Dennis too, because I think Dennis can elaborate on this also. It says, what criteria would you use to choose what to draw rather than letter? So what would you think would make a better scene to put towards exposition or writing instead of having the artist draw it out? And for both Dennis and Andy, I guess you guys can take a shot at answering this.
I mean, I think one of the big things is don't do both, which is, and I've seen this many times, where you would write, Cordrath is, jumping off his horse, so I draw that, and Dennis hasn't done this, but as a bad example, then it'd be a caption, or even if there was a word balloon from somebody else that's maybe in the scene going, Cordrath, you're dismounting your horse, or whatever, never do that.
Yeah, that redundancy.
I just look at it,
writing and art.
I'm trying to think of a really good example, because the first thing that comes to mind is, well, boring stuff, but then I need to define boring stuff.
Yeah.
I use an example from a book I worked on at DC. I was inking it. I didn't draw it. And I liked the guy who was inking. It was on Green Lantern. It was Darryl Banks. And Darryl didn't write it. But there was a scene where he was answering the phone. And I think I even gave Darryl crap for this a while ago, just busting his chops. He drew like the biggest panel on the page, if I remember right. Or it was a pretty big panel of the close-up of a hand picking up the phone receiver. And I was just like, no, that shouldn't be a big, who cares? you know. Um, I think I don't know. It's I've been doing it so long. It's kind of a gut thing. Maybe Dennis can answer it better. I know it when I see it because there's been instances, when I get the script from Dennis, we'll get on the phone and talk about it. And in the first one, I know there were things I pointed out, like, this really doesn't need to be drawn. It could be verbalized, or, this should be drawn, vice versa.
And part of that is, you've got a finite number of pages in which to put the story out. And I think that's the biggest challenge because, theoretically, if I had my way, that would have been a 150-page graphic novel because there's so much I want to regurgitate out there. But we set the number of pages so we know where we're going to go for it. So there were instances with, like the one scene, I kind of had to look it up, where I'm trying to set a feeling of the scene, and you can draw the dark setting and things like that. But I want to bring so much more to it, and there's so much wording that we could do that, would go through it. It's hard to explain, but in the end, we decided just to do it as narration. And then, it was bringing things down, when we were talking about how the supreme power comes in fours and what comes in fours, because you're trying to bring forward the concept of elements and why the number four is important in the concept of the world. This could go on for pages, but we were able to bring it down and convey everything in basically 4 small word narrations that brought in and explained everything that probably would have taken 4 pages to do.
Right. And if it didn't, it's one of those things you have to think, is this really worth the real estate, with the amount of pages you have? Because, you know how it is in the business. You sit down and you go, this is how many pages we have to dedicate to this book, this issue. So you have to think, is it worthwhile taking up, let's say, 3 to 4 pages of real estate drawing it? Or is it not as important as something else I could fill that up with? So I could just do it with exposition. And even if it's exposition over a few panels that you're drawing, where maybe what you do is you look at all that, you look at the exposition and you go, wow, that could take 3 to 4 pages. What if I split that up into a few caption boxes, and maybe I pick out 2 or 3 key things to draw, and then you float the rest of the exposition above it, and you can leave out those few key moments that you drew. So you're combining it to where you're saving the real estate, but you're also still showing some.
So I write full script. So in my mind, as I'm writing it, I'm picturing everything that's in there. Okay, he's fighting this way. He tucks and rolls here. He does this. And I've got it in my mind how I think it would come across. Andy sits there and, he'll read it and he'll be like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do. But instead of doing that, what if he did XYZ instead? And instead of doing 6 panels worth, we could put it all into 3 panels and have even a better outcome. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds better. And that's what I'm talking about. We're always going back and forth. How can we condense it or make it better? Or how can we convey it using the combination thereof? And we're always coming up with ideas, and, hopefully it all works.
Yeah, because the panels on the page really help to dictate the pacing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I see a lot of books out there, a lot of people making books that are kind of, I don't know if they're getting too influenced by a lot of the decompressed storytelling, a lot of that bloated kind of storytelling, and
right,
and really drawing out a lot of scenes or whatever it may be. But the pacing just dies to me when it comes to that.
And that's the thing. Like, you read some of these books and the newer stuff that Marvel and DC puts out, and with the decompression they're doing and stuff, I'm just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? These 2 pages would have been 1 page, in the 80s or the 70s. And the same goes for looking, because I love looking at books from that time period and collecting them still. And I'll read one and I'll look at a page and be like, wow, if that one page was done today, they would have broke that up, or the writer would have broke that one page up into like 4. Yeah, I can just see it. It's like a 6-panel page, and I can just see. And I'm not saying they would have been like, oh, it's 6 panels. Let's just make it for easy math. Let's make it 3, where it's two panels per page. No, I'm saying they would have been like, I can take these 6 panels and turn them into 12, or not even, say 10, and spread them over 3 pages. Because they'll just be like, ooh, in this one panel, well, a good example would be, in one panel, and let's just say it's an X-Men thing, Kitty Pryde's talking to Colossus in one panel, and it's a medium shot, right? And let's say there's 5 word balloons in the panel, 2 for one character, 3 for the other. And I just look at that and go, oh my God, in today's world, they would have done it so each one of those word balloons would have a panel to itself. It would have been a close-up here, another close-up, close-up of Kitty. Oh, boom, close-up of Colossus, and then maybe a 2-shot of both of them, and then back to a close-up, and then this. And it just would have been like, oh my God, guys, it's one panel. It doesn't need to be broken up that much. It's, you're not some storytelling genius by breaking something up that could have been one panel.
You'll get the whole thing with all of the reactions, and then the moments of just, there's that freeze frame aspect of repeating a panel, and and it's
right.
It's like they're almost trying to make animation on the page instead of utilizing the full effectiveness of a comic.
Yeah, but on the flip side, there are things that I'll read even today where in one panel you'll have a back and forth between 2 characters, and like character A will say something, character B will obviously say something back to character A, and then character A will finish the panel with the 3rd word balloon reacting to what the other character said. But the problem is the writing for that 3rd balloon. I'm like, see, this should be 2 panels, because whatever that 3rd balloon is such a reaction that it should have a standalone reaction shot. Because as an artist, when I see something like that, I'll break it up into 2 panels, because just internally I'm like, well, now if I try to draw this in one panel, I have to figure out for character A, what facial expression do I want to do? And what I mean is their first line of dialogue in the panel might be something where they're content, or not happy, but just content, whatever. A neutral type of facial expression, right? And then character B could just be saying something that just provokes anger or something in the first one that talked. And then the word balloon from that first one will be literally like totally rip shit pissed annoyed. But I'm like, well, if I did this in one panel, if I draw them that way, that first word balloon makes no sense. But if I draw them with that neutral face where the first word balloon makes sense, their second word balloon reacting to what that other dude said doesn't really work either, because they have the neutral face. So this should be broken into 2 panels. So it would be a standalone panel close-up of that person reacting, in that more angered, aggressive way. Like in a movie, you're seeing their reaction shot,
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm breaking things down, I'm always thinking about emotion and action. And that's what gets shown. That's where we spend time. That's where we freeze frame and put that panel. Are you guys constructing it in a similar way? If not, how are you guys putting things together?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, that's what I get from reading the script and stuff. It's always, one, as the artist, I always think, is what I'm drawing actually moving the story forward? Because if it's not, then I should be drawing something else, and then it's like you said, action reaction. And with Dennis and I both having kids, it's something you teach your kid. Look, if you do something, there's going to be a reaction. Just remember, every action has a reaction. So stop and think before you do something. But, yeah, in comics, you're moving it along. So it's like if character A does this, how does that affect character B moving on to the next panel? Or if it's just, character A alone in a scene, if they do a specific action in panel 1, well, then even if you're moving to a close-up in the next panel, whatever shot you're moving to, you need to think about what's the reaction from what they just did by themselves. I mean, if I'm in my office here and I'm doing something, there's some type of reaction afterwards, to any movement or something that's being done. And you just have to keep thinking about that as you're moving along.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's how the story unfolds in a realistic way, is because things are happening because other things have just preceded those events, as opposed to things just being like instructions where everything, this happens because I said so, and then the next thing happens because I said
Right.
so, and the next thing, it's more like, no, this happened because this other thing happened because this other thing happened, and so on. And if you don't have the course of events playing out that way, it's really going to feel stilted, and you're going to lose a lot of genuine character interaction and motivation being played across. It's going to feel very weird.
Well, I think you also need to think about the basic rule of improv. When actors get up on stage at an improv show, one of the first things we're taught is yes and. When you're working on stage with your scene partner, you never want to negate what they say. So if the scene partner says something like, "Oh my God, I just spent all this money on the boat for the vacation," as the scene partner, I want to think, and that's why improv is so rapid. You want to think to yourself, okay, how can I yes and that? So when I was learning improv and in rehearsals, sometimes out loud, the person would say what they were going to say. So they would say that line I just said about, the boat and stuff. And before I even react, and the exercise would be to verbally say out loud, yes, and just think of all the cool places we're going to be able to go. We could take that boat and take it down Niagara Falls. Nobody's done that before, because you want to heighten it as you keep going. And I think it's the same thing when you're writing a story for comics. You want to keep trying to heighten stuff, So when you're writing it, from panel to panel, you can do that same thing and go, okay, this happened, yes, and not negate it. Because negating it just stops it dead in the tracks.
Yeah. Dennis, can you add on that?
Well, along those lines, it's always, can't disagree with any of that. I mean, you just want to keep building and building and building. That's why, throughout a flow, a comic stories, you got your 3 parts and you're always wanting to build. And the only time you really will not want to build is basically if you're cutting to a whole new scene, you're starting over, and then you're building up to it that way. Yeah, not really. I mean, it pretty much covered it. And as we go through it, like I said, I write out stuff, and then he'll read the script, because Andy just doesn't look at, like, if he's doing page 8, he doesn't just look at page 8 and go, okay, that's what I'm doing today. He looks at consecutive pages to see, okay, this is where Dennis is going. This is where he wants to go to. And as he's going, does he see any issues within the next X number of pages that maybe we could do something different with? And sometimes it's a yes, and he'll call me up and he'll be like, hey, I saw this in 2 pages. We've got this going on. And I'd be like, yeah. And he goes, well, you just said XYZ here. I'm like, oh, yeah. What we should do is XYZ and PDQ, because we need to address that. So, but that's how you work with one another. And I know it's different for like a lot of the old school guys. Some guys, the writer sends it to the artist, and the artist gets it and just does whatever's on the script, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's very true. We got a good question here from Comics for Life. Says, who would you guys place on your list of best writer/artist teams? Any favorites? That's a tough question. It's a good question.
Man, I tell you, one of the first ones that popped into my head was Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. on Spider-Man. I didn't go with Ditko because Ditko did a lot more of the basically story and plotting and all that stuff, and Stan was more of the scripter on that stuff. I think when him and John were doing it, it was probably a little more evenly handed. So I really like those guys. I think Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams when Batman was a good pairing. Really good pairing. I like that stuff. I'm trying to, man, it's funny because a lot of the stuff that comes to mind is stuff where it was the writer artist being the same, like Thor by Walt Simonson,
I was just going to say, first Beta Ray Bill, that whole run was fantastic.
But that was the same person.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Well, you mentioned X-Men, Claremont and Byrne.
I didn't want to take that.
In Claremont.
Yeah, I would say Claremont Byrne. I mean, honestly, Claremont Byrne, Claremont Paul Smith was really great stuff.
Claremont Cochran, and of course Claremont Jim Lee when they relaunched. So Claremont's in the top for me across the board.
I agree.
I'm looking at my spin rack. I'm really trying to. Oh, that's a on the spot question where my mind just kind of goes. Oh, well, you know what? Claremont and Alan Davis on Excalibur.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. And to go farther back with Captain Britain, the first stuff that Davis did was Alan. Well, it was Alan Moore, I think, first, and then it went to another writer. But Alan Moore and Alan Davis worked great together, I thought. I also thought Mike Barr and Alan Davis worked real well together on Outsiders when he did that at DC.
See, like Dark Knight Returns, which I love. That's just Frank Miller.
Frank Miller, yeah. Well, this is Alan Moore again, but I mean Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons on, Watchmen. And Wolfman and Perez on Teen Titans.
Yep.
That was great. I didn't say Lee and Kirby because it's kind of tough with how much Kirby did and how much Lee did. I'm not really sure. You hear a little bit of, well, no, Lee did a lot of it. No, Kirby did, so it's like,
But they were a good duo. I mean, they
were a duo.
So, I mean, that's the way you look at it.
Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers on the few issues of Batman that Marshall Rogers did. That was really good stuff. Now I'm just trying to visualize the trade paperbacks behind me because a lot of those are, specific, writer artist teams that they collected for a reason.
I love Ween and Wrightson on Swamp Thing.
Oh, yeah, Swamp Thing. Yeah. That is great stuff. Yeah. And I would love to see, and I'm sure they're out there, I'd love to see what, Len Wein script looked like that Wrightson got from him. Same with, Len and Dave Cockrum on X-Men. I'd love to see what Len wrote, how much he wrote. Was it a plot? Was it a full script? At that time period with Marvel, it could have just been a plot. But then you think about DC, it was around the same time period with the Swamp Thing, 70s. Was that full script? I don't know. So
it's true. I have no idea. Yeah, I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's why I brought up John Romita Sr. and Stan Lee on Spider-Man, because that might have been at the stage too. Graham Nolan would probably know this. That could have been at the stage where, Lee was actually typing stuff out, not just saying, come to my office, let's chat for 20 minutes, now go draw the book. So,
yeah, absolutely. And Spicer, thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships, man. Appreciate it. So if you guys got a membership from Spicer, I can't see because I only have the StreamYard open tonight. I don't have the YouTube chat open. But if you guys got a membership, enjoy it for the month. It's 99 cents for the channel. If you guys want to join, you get use for the emojis in the chat, and you also get access to about 100 or so member videos from the past. A lot of them open mics. But thank you so much, Spicer. So I'm going to take a look here at your campaign. Let's bring this up. All right. And it's Kordrath the Awakening,
The
correct?
Awakening. Yes.
All right. So
There she is. 7 more to 600 backers.
that's
Yeah.
great. Fantastic. So you're at 44,271. Actually, let me refresh just in case. Yeah, 44,271, 593 backers. You're in demand right now. Oh, so this went in demand earlier today?
My mistake. Dennis came over and I was really bummed all morning, beating myself up because you're the hardest one yourself. After the professionals last night, I met to, and Dennis and I talked about it. We did a stream yesterday afternoon to extend it another 30 days. And the bros ended, and then we talked a little bit after, when we weren't live anymore. And I was beat, and I was just like, all right, that's it. And I woke up this morning, and as my alarm went off, I got up, and before I even looked at my phone, did anything, the first thought that went through my head was, holy shit, I forgot to extend it before 3 a.m.
Oh,
So I looked, so I emailed support at Indiegogo, and they got right back to me and said, unfortunately, there's nothing they can do. So it is now in demand. But
a little, just a quick follow up on that. Do you find that there's a big difference between extending it with the days and just going in demand?
No, I mean, this is the first time that's happened out of the campaigns I've done.
Okay.
We weren't exactly sure we were going to do 30 anyhow, because I know like Graham does 30, then 15 days, just for a total of 45. So we weren't sure what we were going to do, and basically just leave it up when I was supposed to do it, whatever I clicked, whether it be 15 or 30, as an experiment. And then we talked about it, and it's kind of like you said, Pete. Does it make a difference? I mean, it's still funding.
The big
I think it makes a difference.
We usually do a big closeout stream where we're
Right.
on for hours. We talk about it. We're trying to get over that. Usually,
so you didn't really.
goal.
Gotcha.
No, we did a 30-day stream yesterday afternoon for a couple hours.
Yeah, just for fun.
Because last night was the bros and there was no time to really do it. But I think where it really makes a difference, honestly, is if, whatever your funding goal is, if you're like, I need to extend this because we haven't hit the goal yet. I think that's where it makes a big difference. I think in this situation, the goal was made, within the first couple hours on the first day, that it's in demand. It's not like we're not going to promote it and talk about it any less. We're going to just do the same amount we always do.
And we added a few more things to it. We added a few more things to it. And as things come up, we'll just continue to evolve the campaign just like we normally would do. The only difference is, it won't pop up and say there's 30 or 25 days left.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed a difference, to be honest, with any of the campaigns that I've run. I used to think there was a difference, but I think that was back when maybe you got a little bit of a boost in the algorithm again with Indiegogo. Now I don't know what the hell their algorithm is.
Exactly. Yeah, I have no idea. So
it'll be like it's the #1 campaign on Indiegogo. It's been fulfilled for a year.
Right.
Interesting.
So, it is what it is. I'll just we just keep working on it. And we're obviously, whether it says in demand at the top or funding, doesn't make a difference. It's just one word. And it's still the same thing. Go back it. We still need to raise more for more stretch goals for people and so on and so forth. So
yeah, we're closing in on the first stretch goal. So that'll be nice when we hit it.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah. It's going to be so it's at 50,000 like it was for the first campaign, and it's the first playable character card of this time, you know, we did 4 playable character cards on the first campaign plus a map. So this one kicks off with the first playable character card, building on the other ones, and it's Vordoom, the Undying, who was revealed to be the big bad at the end of the first book. So that's really like the chess master behind everything. So he is the first one, and as it gets unlocked, we'll show the next one, and so on and so forth.
Nice. Now, I don't dabble in role playing games or whatnot. What's SRD compatible?
That's your basically that means for it's 5th edition compatible if you're playing D&D rules. And I'll just get into the weeds a little bit. A lot of the guys that bought it, some of them play 5th edition. Not everybody likes it, but most everybody is a seasoned DM, and it takes 15 minutes to convert it to 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, whatever version that you play, and it's easy enough to play it with anything. But the version that we have is the current version that is out for D&D for the last X number of years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Andy, did you want to address this? Brian says maybe do a 30 or 15 day on Fund My Comic.
I just wrote in the chat that we actually were talking about that today. Dennis is going out of town for a couple weeks with family and stuff, and when he comes back, we're looking at probably setting that up. And we were thinking about doing that regardless after the book went in demand if I didn't forget to do to extend it. But since I did, it just means we can do it sooner. So
very nice.
Yeah, I know that we know there's a different audience over there and stuff. So you know, why not? Can't hurt. So
I dig this old school cover. That is cool.
They're my favorite. I mean, I love what Dan does. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. Like, here's the difference when I look at them is that cover, besides, you know, you say old school, but to me, I look at that and I go, comic book.
Yeah.
And then the first cover by Dan and I actually look at, and it gives me more of a cover for like a novel, you know, when novels had painted covers and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of just like, I don't know if quality difference is the right word, because to me they're both high quality, but just the look, you know. And I was thinking about it more, and this has been something I've been thinking about for a couple weeks with just new comic books. I find myself with the comics I do get attracted to the ones where the coloring, it's not that it's all flat color and stuff, but it is more maybe simpler, and I just get that feel of a comic book from it compared to, I mean, there are some books out there that Marvel and DC put out that the coloring is just so overpowering. I'm just like, it's almost like a video game.
Or sometimes it's the opposite. It's not overpowering at all. You wonder if they know anything about color theory.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, sure.
It's like pastel and earth tones. I'm like, what is going on here? Everything's subdued. Yeah. There's nothing to make anything pop. You don't know what the hell the focal point is supposed to be. If you squint at it, you're like, I don't know what the heck this is. You know?
Yep.
Everything that you would normally use to determine, well, can I make out what this is? That a good design? Is that a good layout? It seems like it went out the window. But that's I'm geared more towards that as well with the color scheme, the one you're talking about, where it's like this 2, maybe 3 tone on the color, not necessarily like a flat across the board, but yeah, it's really just strong, bold coloring, and everything pops. I love that.
Yep. Same here. Yeah. Nope, I agree. And then there's Dan Lawless over Budroot for the new Budroot variant cover, which if you got the first one with Lilneth, if you put them next to each other, well, look at that. They go together to make one image. So, and of course, the line art cover. People really like Bud's line art. So,
oh, yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah.
How many covers are on the campaign?
5.
5.
I say that trepidly because I don't know if it's 4 and this is the 5th book, because that's not actually a variant cover. The whole book is in black and white.
Oh, okay.
So it's either, let me just run through Dan and mine, Homage, Bud Line. No, just 4. 4.
Okay, so 4, and then the 5th book.
The 5th book is
being
totally
black and
different
white.
interior. It's not an artist edition. I'm not scanning, my pages. Well, I just want people to know, because it's not
Yeah.
oversized. It's not hardcover. It's the same cost. It's the same size. It's just all in black and white. I'm scanning the pages and, grayscale and adjusting them to high contrast black and white. They're the exact files that I send to the colorist. I just think it'll be, I like different things, and I thought it'd be cool to do one totally in black and white with, obviously, so you can read it and everything with the words.
So it includes the story too, the lettering, the writing, all that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Nice.
I mean, I should actually go in and add a little tag below the heading above that where it says black and white edition. I should add a tag, and I might now, that says something like, get that old school feel of the Savage Sword of Conan magazines, because those were black and white.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
nice.
so it's a black and white edition. So
is it on like an uncoated paper stock or anything like that, or a natural paper stock?
I might go that route with it. Since we're pretty far off from printing, I haven't really given it that much thought. But because obviously it's a whole new set of guts that have to be printed for it compared to the other 4 covers.
Yeah.
I might go that route, because since it is black and white, I think it'd be cool, with a matte and not a gloss.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you do a black and white on the previous campaign?
No, we did the oversized artist edition with
okay.
the hardcover that no word balloons.
Oh,
I scanned all my pages from, in full color, and the reproduction on that came out fantastic. It really does feel like you're holding the original art in your hands.
What was the workload on that like?
What do you mean?
Like getting it all put together, getting the hardcover, getting this big oversized book.
Shipping
that out.
Shipping it out was interesting because there were only a few people that, for instance, got, like, say, the hardcover and cover A, and we just bought a bunch of the same size boxes that could fit, basically, if somebody did the tier where they got everything, which was, the hardcover, 6 books basically, because there were 6 covers, and the game module and everything. So it was like a 4-inch high box. So if somebody got just the oversized hardcover and 1 book, I bubble wrapped the crap out of it because it still went inside that 4-inch high box when it could easily fit inside of a 2-inch high box.
How heavy was that? That had to be at least a 2-pounder.
Yeah, it was. The hardcover and the book by itself. Yeah, you're right. It was about 2 pounds.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was like 2 pounds.
It was near.
I mean, that's not bad.
Rounds up anyways.
No.
It was 1 pound, like 14 ounces, something like that. It's 2 pounds.
So it just rounds up.
So you're mailing off beautiful art and also a home defense system.
That's right.
That's right.
Exactly. So, but it was good. It all worked out. So,
beautiful.
There's one of the creatures in the book, one of the new ones.
Nice. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's fun. I love drawing this stuff.
So if you guys haven't had a chance yet to check this out in the chat, please do so. I've got the link in the description of the show, but I'm also putting it right here in the chat for you guys too, in case you don't want to go right there. You can go right to the chat, click on that, and go give this a look. If someone could... oh, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, you can keep scrolling on it. Yesterday for the 30-day, we added the beanie with the Core Draft logo on it back for those cold winter days. We added the new t-shirt, which is the Bud Root variant, because the other t-shirt featured Lilith that Bud did with Dan Lawless. So now you can get the Adriana one. That's new. And then we also brought back the Heavy Metal Core Draft t-shirt from the last campaign. So if anybody either missed out on it or wants to get another one, they're available as well.
And then we also have the manga, the digest. So those are the E for everyone. For those that really wanted to show their kids core draft but didn't want to see the sexy scenes, we now have something that your kids can read and take along with them and take it on to school.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good
and
thinking.
I checked E for everyone. They start that, I think, at like 10, 11 years old. So even though your 7-year-old might be able to read, it's your choice because there's still, some hacking going on in the book. But
we did the black and white manga version, and then we also did the color digest, which is just slightly bigger. But a lot of the kids like the manga ones, and we got a lot of. We printed off some demos, prototypes to see how they would turn out, and because you never know how they are when they go down, but they turned out great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah,
good
thinking
really
on
nice.
that. Jeez. You guys got a lot of books then printing up on this campaign.
We printed, for the digests, we printed 10 of each of those. So they weren't cheap, as you know, when you print only 10.
Yeah.
But it was worth it, like Dennis said, so we could actually see what, the smaller black and white manga one looked like, and even the color one being smaller. We just wanted to be able to look at it and make sure it was readable and everything was clear. And a few fans are lucky enough to already have them because, we printed up 10 of each, and, we still have a few, but when we do a con, we take those few to shows to sell because we want to gauge feedback as well.
Yeah, but we really did want to hit that younger audience because we see that there was a niche. Matter of fact, Andy and I went live today with it's not a new campaign yet. It's the sign up, but we are doing Core Draft, the Christmas Miracle children's book and activity book. So we're actually going to be starting up another campaign geared for the really young readers who want some good barbarian fun in their life.
That's awesome. I'm having a King Cryptid Christmas story next campaign.
Really?
So yeah, look at that. I love Christmas comics.
Well, here, I shared the screen if you want to share it.
Oh, sure.
Now, I can't see I can't see the StreamYard, so I'm just going to scroll down because it's on the same monitor.
She-Ra Christmas.
Yeah, that's it's so I don't know if you know, Pete, but about 12 years ago, I did 8 children's books for HarperCollins featuring DC characters. And the format was basically this. It was about 24 pages, and they had a couple formats, but the one we're going with is the square book. So it's 8.5 by 8.5. And, with it being just 24 pages, we can't show a lot of art because there's only one drawing per page. And we don't want to give everything away. So you can see example of 4 of the pages on the right-hand side there. And yeah, I drew it in the same simpler style that I did the HarperCollins stuff in because, that was even a directive working form was, tone the style down, make it simpler. I'm working with my buddy Brad Venkata on the colors because that's who colored all the stuff I did for the HarperCollins kids books. And it's really fun. So the sign-up page is live for this. And we actually had people tell us that they would love to see a adult version of this book. Now, before anybody gets any crazy ideas, there's no sex in the book, but we are doing a version of the book where we're swapping some pages out. So there's blood and guts. So, hey, that's totally up to whoever buys it if they want to show their kid. The text on those pages will obviously be different as well to reflect what's happening on them.
I wrote the original script, and then we decided that there's a number of pages. If we're going to go adult on it, it really opened itself. So I just wrote up a new script for those particular pages.
So you're making a completely like a complete variant book, not just a variant cover or anything.
Oh no, it's going to. In fact, the cover. The only difference on the cover is where it says "I love to read." It'll probably just say mature. It'll just say something else to distinguish it. And then we're also doing, so this is 24 pages. We're doing another book that's the exact same size, same cover, but instead of it saying I love to read, in the lower left-hand corner, there's a blurb with the yellow background and red text that says coloring and activity book. And that's going to be 32 to 36 pages because it's going to be the whole book in black and white with the text. So you can still read it, but you can color it. And then we're doing 8 to 12 pages of dot to dot, crossword, word search, and things like that. So it's a coloring activity book as well. So
wow.
And it'll ship in November, so everybody gets it in time for Christmas.
Nice. That's
And
happening this year?
Oh, it's coming out. It's launching in July because it's Christmas in July.
In July, yeah. There you go.
That's right. So
sign up page is live right now.
Yep.
And thank you, Brian, for putting that link up too, man. Thank you. I was just about to ask Andy if he could put it in the private chat, but Brian's got it right there. If you guys want to sign up, go for it.
Yeah, and this is one that we talked about. Man, we talked about it last year, and it's actually one that I've been working on, for a while because, we need to, since we know it has to ship in November, we know we're launching it in July. We know when we have to go to the printer with it and stuff for us to get it back, to get it out, in November for people that want it for Christmas and stuff. So it'll be fun.
That's
One
awesome.
thing we told everybody was that the Core Draft IP will be ever expanding, and this is just another example of it.
That's great. I love seeing stuff like that. That's great.
Graphic novel, role-playing game, miniature figure, children's book.
Take over the
nude
world
cabaret,
with these characters.
A nude Core Draft cabaret show. That was
Right,
Dennis's idea.
Dial it back a little bit.
I know. That's what I told him. I said, Dennis, come on, nude. He's
I
like,
was
fine.
more
You
about
can have
the
his
cabaret
knife.
part.
Oh, got it.
Anyway, Andy, Dennis, both of you guys, if you could recommend one perk, one that the audience must check out, you recommend it the most to back that one, what would it be?
Well, I mean, the featured perk is obviously the Awakening big box because that comes with all the covers, the black and white edition. It comes with the game module. It comes with the Adriana trading card, and obviously any stretch goals, and it comes with the collector's box. So that would be obviously the one I would recommend because it's the featured tier.
Yeah.
Dennis, what say you?
Well, I was going to say, and then for those, we do have the literal get it all tier for those that miss Core Draft, the Reckoning. It also comes with everything in there, plus literally every book. And they're limited because we only had a small overrun of on the first books. So we had to limit them. I think there was 50 total. And for anybody who missed it, we can get all of the first, the Reckoning, as well as all of the Awakening, and you will have everything that we've ever put out.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that includes the artist edition, the all 6 covers for the Reckoning, the game module, all the character cards from that campaign.
Yep. Everything.
Matt, it's everything. And we've waited out. I mean, that was one of the things, because this is, and of course, the collector's box. We've never delved into this before. And that was another thing. We had prototypes made of the collector's box. So we made sure stuff could fit. And,
everything fits.
Everything fits. We've got the first homage cover on the bottom because it's for this campaign. So on the top is the new homage cover. If you put it on a bookshelf, I tried to do a spine that looks like a big fat book. With logo and stuff. And then on the front flap is obviously the logo as well. And then there's pieces of the Dan Lawless and my cover on the ends.
Nice.
So,
any printing on the inside?
The inside. Now, the only thing on the inside is, astonishing the logo there.
Okay.
But The inside's just white. I mean, it's the inside. So yeah, so we got it. We got actually, I think we got 10 of those made just to, put together. And no, I think maybe we only got 4. I take that back. But anyhow, it was worth the expense just for the 4, just because once again, I got to see stuff like, when it comes to the graphic novel, obviously it's not like I got to go, God, got to print one of these, make sure it looks good. I've been doing this for 30 years, 33 years. I know, it's like I've worked with printers. I'm good there. But when it comes to this new stuff, like the box and the little digests and, the mini figures and stuff, we got 2 of each. We got 2 5-inch made. So Dennis and I can each have one, 2 2-inch and 2 3-inch. So we could basically quality check it and stuff to make sure, like, yeah, okay, we're good. Let's put that on the campaign. So
that's awesome. Any of that uncharted territory for you?
Yeah, the figures especially. I mean, I had a First Man bust made back when that was made for my artwork and stuff. And with Core Draft it was different because First Man was easy because without a paint job and without looking really close, you can't even see his costume lines, but they're there if this was going to be painted, so you know how to paint it. Core Draft's got the shoulder pad, the axe, the weapons, the straps, all that stuff.
Wow.
And I did the drawing to send to the digital sculptor and stuff, and we went back and forth with it because he'd send it to me and I'd basically open it in Photoshop and draw over top of it the 3 views to be like, nope, the brow should come out more, or whatever, to make the anatomy and stuff look more like mine, because I stressed to him the whole point is to make it look like my drawing that you're holding. So and I mean he nailed it. I mean, he did such a great job.
And we got one guy right now, Chris, he's painting. We sent him one of the 5-inch and he's doing a full paint job on it. He from when we had him on the show, he hopped on yesterday. He got the metal added, so the axe is metal now, and his pauldron's metal. So it's just turning out awesome. We can't wait to show it when it's completely done.
Yeah,
that's incredible. It amazes me that we live in a time where we could do that sort of thing.
I know,
like
it's just so cool.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Every time we make like a 3D printed figure, I think I've got one coming in. It'll be the 3rd one in the King Cryptid line that'll be here in a week or 2, and I'm doing it to scale, so it's based on like the height of King Cryptid, and then based off everything else. All the characters are like that, and every time I'm like, this is just, I can't even imagine it. Like 10-year-old me playing with Legos to create Spider-Man.
Yeah. Square Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, I'm if we do another figure during the campaign, it would be Adriana. We actually ran a poll and she won. And I would like to do it if we do it, instead of saying, okay, do a 5-inch Adriana, I can see doing a standard 2-inch because you don't want to go smaller than that, and even the 3. But instead of doing a 5-inch, I would love to see if the 3D printer that we're also working with, could do like 4 3/4 or 4 1/2, so she's in scale
to make their that'd be cool.
Yeah, and they can. I just shared it. If you want to pop it, at least it's one side of the update.
Yeah,
you can at least let them see it.
Hold on, let me get the logo out of there. Wow, that looks
Dennis,
incredible.
While we're looking at that, Brian said, how many players are needed for the game module?
So I put through a recommendation. So the first module was play tested. The second one will be being sent out for play testing. We had four characters, and it gives you the recommended levels. If you have more players, you can bump it up, make it a little tougher. If you've got less players, you just knock it down a little bit. But 4 is recommended. But honestly, you could play it with 2 people, and I actually had one group play it with 7. So again, any DM worth their salt, they'll just adjust it a little bit. But more importantly, it just adds to the world of the Shattered Reach, because some people bought it with, and they don't play the game. They just wanted to read through it, because you get introduced to another barbarian tribe and you get introduced to more aspects of the world. So, but yeah, for role playing, 4 is recommended if you're going to play it exactly as printed, but everybody makes up their own characters usually anyway. Some people go Monty Hall on it, some people don't. You just be the judge, but that's what it's rated at.
This looks great. So you're saying that there's actual metal on the figure?
No.
Oh, it's painted.
Resin, but
Metallic
painted metal. Like,
So
I haven't even seen this yet. This is the first I've seen this one.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
He's not done yet.
No.
But that looks awesome.
Yep. So he didn't have the axe head. He didn't have any of the bronze done. The pauldron wasn't done. His armbands, all the metal. So he's just adding the metal right now. So that's the current update. Chris hopped down. He was at work, and when he saw we went live, he knew we were going to talk about it. So he took a 15-minute break from work to run out to his car and hop on the live stream so we could talk to him about it. He's just fantastic with this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's great. That is great. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the final one. We will be showing it when it comes out, the final product when he's all done with it.
Are you selling them looking like this, or is it just for
No,
you?
no, you're gonna have to. I won't speak for Chris. If Chris wants to offer, his services and figure out a fee, if somebody wanted it painted like that, you can work with him on that. But no, it'll be the gray that it looks like on the campaign.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to paint, and since we moved, I haven't. I got all my Citadel paints dried out and stuff, and I just don't have the time anymore to sit there and paint. But the guys that are still doing it, like Chris here, I mean, it's an art form, and it is awesome. That's the 5-inch one he's painting, and then like here is there's the 2 and the 3-inch.
Oh, nice.
The 2-inch one is the size that anybody who plays D&D or anything similar to it, it's in that scale for it's interactive with any of the other games that they play. But yeah, he's got the 5-inch one, and I just can't wait to see what that bad boy looks like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been great. I knew it was going to be great, and it was great.
Yep.
Always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yep.
Thank you guys
Dude,
for
I
being
love
here.
it. It's
Anytime. Love
fantastic.
coming on and chatting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much, too. You guys always have such great questions. Really
Yeah.
appreciate you guys being here. Your questions, your comments, always appreciated. And other than that, guys, go check out the campaign. The link is in the description of the show. And before we close out, Dennis, Andy, where can they find you guys?
Just Andy Smith Art on X, Twitter, whatever. Andy Smith Art on Instagram, Andy Smith Comic Artist on YouTube, and Facebook is the same. So go check it out and subscribe. All that fun stuff.
Yeah, for my Twitter/X, it's right on the screen. It's at Dinges Comics that's for me. And, and you can DM me and all that kind of fun stuff on there. On YouTube, the Dennis and Andy Show, I've got it on, it's at Dennis Turner, just like it sounds. And, that's where you can check out our movie reviews, because we do our movie reviews. I do the quick flips of all the new comics each week. We do full reviews of the comic books. We do our comic hauls, because we do a lot of conventions and buy a lot of cool stuff. And all those videos can be found there. So it's always great. And then obviously we do our live stream. So we'd love to have you guys join us on Wednesdays.
What's the last movie you guys reviewed?
Last week Kingdom of Planet of the Apes.
How
And
was
we're
it?
seeing If Tomorrow and then we'll be doing the review on that one Friday morning, and then I'll be gone for the next couple weeks, so we won't have anything for a couple weeks on that end.
All
yeah,
right.
Planet Apes was really good,
Yep,
good. And then,
It was good.
All right. I remember the last time we had talked, I was on your channel and you were going to watch Madam Web.
Ooh.
It didn't go
well,
so
that
well.
just dropped on Netflix today. So if anybody wants to vacuum the house while that's playing, it's probably the perfect thing to do.
Yeah,
So,
Sydney
and don't even
Sweeney,
turn the
only
sound up.
reason to see it.
No, not really, because they keep her strapped down. As
Yeah.
in, she's not the Sydney Sweeney that you see on red carpets.
That is true. What a terrible movie.
Oh, so bad.
Well, I didn't see it. I'm not going to
Well,
see it.
Be
don't
glad.
nope.
But
be glad.
guys, thank you so much. Seriously,
You're
always
welcome.
great chatting with you. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys as well. Always great to see you guys here. Wayne, thank you, man. Everybody, thank you. Spaceman, thank you. Brian, thank you so much for putting those links out tonight. Great job on that. And when we end the show too, I'm gonna put that that Christmas sign up one on the description as well. Yeah,
and,
no
and
problem.
yeah, the minis. I see Wayne saying he'll be picking up minis. Minis are they're add-ons.
Yep, they're add-ons. So.
All right.
So you know, if you back the book, but you want to get the minis, it's just easy. Just refund, and then go back the book, and then when you check out, add on the minis. So that's the easiest way to do it.
There you go. All right, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern, with Spicer McLeroy. He wants to talk about writing and editing, and I'm happy to do that with him. Last time he was on, he was talking about he does some amazing 3D animation work as well. He's building a King Cryptid, and we were talking about that. And that was a great conversation. I absorbed maybe 10% of it because so much of it I was like, the whole time just, okay, if you say so, man, it's magic to me. But he's doing some incredible stuff, and he's getting into making comics and whatnot. So we'll have a conversation tomorrow. If you guys want to clue in on some of what we're talking about tomorrow, it's 9:30 Eastern. Again, we're talking about writing and editing comics.
Cool.
Other than that, everybody, take it easy. Have a wonderful night and an even better tomorrow. I'll see you guys soon, and all the best to you.
Live long and prosper.
Hi, everybody.